All right, man. So it looks like we got some pretty crazy news here. So even in a Republican poll, Kamala Harris is somehow still winning the race. Donald Trump is still losing in really, really key swing states here. So this article headline says, Conservative pollster shows Kamala Harris leading Trump in key swing state. So it says, new polling from conservative polling company Rasmussen Reports shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading former President Donald Trump in Michigan. Now, of course, if you know about polls, you know Rasmussen is always the Republican pollster. They always come out with their Republican polls, their right-leaning polls. They're their conservative pollster. So anytime you see their poll, you know that they're going to be biased in favor of conservatives. But even with that bias, Trump cannot win. So it says... So it says here for the Michigan poll, it says Rasmussen's new poll, which is carried out from August 13th to 17th, shows Harris narrowly ahead of Trump by 1 point in a head-to-head matchup. The VP has the support of 48% of Michiganders compared to 47% who backed the former president. So he's losing in the head-to-head matchup to Kamala Harris, even in a Republican-biased poll. But it gets even better. So it says Harris's lead expands to 3 points when third-party candidates are factored into the polling. In that scenario, Harris has the backing of 47% of respondents, and Trump is supported by 44%. Jill Stein, Oliver, and Cornel West each receive 1% support. So again, those 1% are likely going to be, sort of hitting at, Harris as well. And then also, it also talks about the state of Pennsylvania as well. It's another swing state. So, saying notably, another new Rasmussen poll in Pennsylvania conducted during the same date shows a tight race. In that survey, Trump is 1 point ahead in a head-to-head matchup with Harris. However, the Democrat is 1 point ahead when the third-party candidates are factored in. Head-to-head, Trump is at 47% and Harris is at 46% in Pennsylvania. When the independent contenders are included, Harris remains steady at 46%, but Trump drops to 2% to 45%. So, and then when we talk about the polling averages, it says Harris leads Trump in polling averages of Michigan and Pennsylvania. ABC News' polling analysis site 538 has Harris leading Trump by an average of 2.6% in Michigan and by about 1.4% in Pennsylvania. In Michigan, Harris is at an average of 45.9% compared to Trump's 43.3%, according to 538. The Democrat is at 46.1% in Pennsylvania, and Trump is at 44.7%. And then it also goes on to say that Nate Silver, he has like his own thing now called Silver Bulletin, so he's not at 538 anymore. So it says shows Harris with an average of 46% compared to Trump's 43.1% in Michigan, so a 2.9 point margin, which is different. And then his Pennsylvania average has a 1.5 point lead. So if we look at these 538 numbers, you have Harris in a lead by 2.6 in the state of Michigan, and then you also have Pennsylvania. She's currently up about 1.4. It looks like the numbers are actually going down slightly. I'm not sure if there's something going on in the Rust Belt. The big surge that she's having now after this kind of big surge that she's had, because she's going down a little bit from like this 3.4. It's only been like a week, so I don't know if it's just like certain polls are coming in or if that's what's going on, but there does appear to be like a small shift downwards for Harris right now in some of in these polls. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Hopefully there's more boosts out there, but again, the benefit of the Harris candidacy is you have other pathways. So you have another pathway to victory with the Sun Belt, and so she kind of offers you more pathways to victory as opposed to like the massive blowouts in the individual states. But hopefully this lead will continue to grow. But another interesting thing is, so Rasmussen actually doesn't belong to 538 anymore. So 538 doesn't even use Rasmussen anymore. So it says the poll aggregation evaluation site 538, part of ABC News, dropped the right-wing polling firm Rasmussen Reports from inclusion in its polling averages and forecasts. The decision comes after months of consideration that broke into public view in June. At that point, G. Elliott Morris, ABC News editorial director of data analytics and 538 lead, presented Rasmussen with questions meant to evaluate its objectivity and methodology. And so then it talks about how there's a lot of backlash that happened as a result and everything from the Republicans. But it talks about how they did something that was trying to cast doubt on the Arizona Senate election with Carrie Lake in it by some poll way afterwards to try to doubt the actual outcome. And I'm not sure if that was the last straw, but they decided to drop them. So they're not even included in this aggregate. That's how bad Rasmussen is. But you can see this here. These kinds of tweets I think are really great because I think they make the results look even clearer. It says in Michigan presidential polling, Harris 47, Trump 44. Rasmussen's a Republican pollster. And then in the state of Pennsylvania, here you have Harris at 46 and Trump at 45. This is also a Republican pollster, obviously Rasmussen here. So it's a pretty big deal, I think, when even a Republican pollster is having in the lead, they're struggling. Now, we'll mention there's a current conspiracy theory going on. There's a conspiracy theory amongst some liberals who are saying that they're plotting these polls just to kind of give them some kind of potential sort of credibility or credence to their polling. So it's like they don't want to look completely batshit crazy by making the race look totally lopsided in favor of Republicans. But what you can do is kind of throw a bone in there to kind of like, plausible deniability from Jordan Peterson or something like that. Or Joe Rogan will just throw something random out there where it's like, oh, Michelle Obama would be a great president. And it kind of like throws off the kind of any specific molding of him. So that's one conspiracy theory. Another conspiracy theory is if they start at these numbers, they're gonna rig the numbers to be even lower later, so that it looks like, oh man, Kamala Harris is falling off. Kamala Harris is falling off. So those are potential conspiracy theories as well. But pretty interesting nonetheless that even with the massively Republican pollster, Kamala Harris is still winning, and these are really crucial battleground states. So pretty interesting stuff to see here.